All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're dissecting Broadcom, the absolute financial powerhouse that is quietly building the physical infrastructure of the AI revolution. Because look, while everyone else is trying to ride the AI wave, Broadcom is the one actually laying the tracks. Let's get right into it. Here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, the $2 trillion titan. 2, hardware and software synergy. 3, powering the AI boom. 4, financial health and growth. And finally, 5, key investment risks. Okay, part 1, the $2 trillion titan. We really need to talk about their immense scale and momentum. So back in December 2024, Broadcom crossed a truly historic threshold. They became only the 12th company in history to blow past $1 trillion market cap. That alone puts them in the rarest air of global equity markets. But honestly, the story was just getting started. Because get this, by April 2026, they essentially doubled that valuation to hit $2 trillion. Only the 6th company to ever pull that off. That kind of breathtaking velocity isn't an accident. It was the market suddenly waking up to the reality of the AI infrastructure bottleneck and realizing Broadcom holds the keys. And that rapid ascent is driving some pretty wild headlines, like this one from the Motley Fool predicting Broadcom could actually eclipse even Apple and Microsoft over the next decade. I mean, when Wall Street is looking at you and saying you could outgrow the most entrenched tech monopolies on Earth, you know you're operating on a completely different level. Moving on to part 2, hardware and software synergy. This is the dual revenue engine running under the hood. If we look at their 2025 revenue, it is this beautifully balanced split. You've got 58% coming from semiconductor hardware products and 42% driven by infrastructure software. So if you thought Broadcom was just a chipmaker, think again. They're a deeply diversified tech behemoth. Let's break down that hardware side first. They are the undisputed global king of custom silicon, or ASICs. Basically, instead of just selling standard off-the-shelf chips, Broadcom sits down and co-designs highly specialized silicon tailored exactly for hyperscaler AI workloads. They are giving tech giants precisely what they need to maximize efficiency and drastically cut power costs at scale. It's like a bespoke suit, but for data centers. Then, the brilliance of their corporate strategy really shines on the software side. Through their massive acquisition of VMware, Broadcom secured this incredibly resilient, recurring enterprise cash flow. We all know the semiconductor market goes through notorious boom and bust cycles, right? Well, this high-margin software revenue acts as the perfect anchor, totally smoothing out all that hardware volatility. All right, part 3, powering the AI boom. This is why they're so indispensable right now. Here is the absolute core of the thesis. NVIDIA gets all the mainstream consumer glory for their AI GPUs, and sure, that's fair. But Broadcom? They are the ultimate picks and shovels play. They have essentially established a foundational duopoly alongside NVIDIA in building next-generation AI data centers. You literally cannot build the future of AI without Broadcom's architecture in the stack. And their position is cemented by some of the deepest moats in the entire industry. I mean, they're co-designing Google's TPU accelerators, they're co-designing Meta's MTIA custom silicon, and even outside the data center, they hold multi-billion-dollar agreements supplying the core wireless connectivity components for Apple's iPhones. They are deeply, deeply embedded with the biggest spenders on the planet. But wait, it's not just compute. There's also networking. Broadcom's Tomahawk and Jericho chips basically hold a dominant grip on the ultra-scale Ethernet switching market. Look, having a massive AI cluster is totally useless if the servers can't talk to each other without bottlenecks. Broadcom's hardware is essentially the high-speed nervous system tying it all efficiently together. Which brings us perfectly to part 4, financial health and growth. Let's look at the actual scoreboard with these Q2 numbers. Looking at their fiscal Q2 2026 snapshot, the metrics are just phenomenal for a company of this maturity. Revenue hit $22.19 billion. That is a surge of nearly 48% year over year. Meanwhile, free cash flow jumped over 30% to $7.64 billion. It is an absolute compounding engine of cash generation. But the most impressive stat is right here. Net income went absolutely parabolic, skyrocketing by over 87% year over year to hit $9.31 billion. The big takeaway here? Their incredible pricing power and top-tier profit margins. They aren't just pushing more volume, they're extracting significantly more profit from every single dollar that comes in the door. And because of that massive cash generation, they are sitting on a formidable war chest, over $19.6 billion in cash and short-term investments. If you're a shareholder, this is exactly what you want to see because it provides guaranteed fuel for aggressive annual dividend growth and those robust stock buyback programs we all love. Finally, part 5, key investment risks, because we have to keep it objective and look at the headwinds. We definitely have to balance the scales here. Yes, the custom AI silicon leadership and that super stable VMware cash flow are immense catalysts. But Broadcom does carry some high client concentration risk. They rely really heavily on just a few titans like Apple and Google. Plus, they remain highly vulnerable to geopolitical tensions. Any sudden tightening of US-China export regulations could immediately and negatively impact their Asian revenues. So, taking all of this in, the unprecedented momentum, that brilliant dual revenue stability, and their absolute chokehold on the global data center duopoly weighed against some very real geopolitical risks, you are left with one absolutely critical question. Is Broadcom the smartest possible way to invest in the physical foundation of AI, or is a $2 trillion valuation simply priced for perfection? Let that sink in. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.